Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. So today I thought we'd do a little bit of fun, a little bit of wish listing, and a little bit of thought behind talking about the armies that haven't yet got something from Broken Realms. Now of course we know we've got one Broken Realms book coming, Kragnos. We don't know whether we've got any more after that. Potentially we might do, just judging on some of the things that are said in the articles about Lord Croak and about the two witch hunters. Potentially there might be more, however at the point we only know of Kragnos. Now we also know the table of contents and what exactly is getting stuff inside Broken Realms Biellicor now. So what I thought I'd do is we'd chat about the stuff that hasn't received anything for Broken Realms yet, and what they might receive, what they could receive. There is no definite on any of this. This is all just a little bit of thought and ideas of what we could get, what we could see, what we probably need for that faction. Now, there's two main things I'm not going to touch on. One is Slaanesh, because I believe while they didn't receive anything properly within Broken Realms, they were a part of the story in Broken Realms Morathi, and they got the Shadow and Pain box, which pretty much kicked all of this off. I also won't be talking about Soulblight Gravelords, because I feel they've got a battle tome on their own coming out during this. So I feel that they are going to have their own book and still be a part of the Broken Realms saga and the stories that are going on, but rather than having them included in a book, they're going to have their own battle tome. So let's get kicking into it. We're going to talk about the armies that haven't had it. We're not going to talk about any particular sub-faction. We're just going to go on what we think we can get for each one. So let's get cracking into this. Let's get talking about what we could see for all the armies in Broken Realms that haven't yet received anything. So, number one, Sylvaneth. Now, there's a few different things I think we could see for Sylvaneth, and for me, I think that'd be one of the armies that potentially gets a more major overhaul in Broken Realms. Now, spoiler alert, Sylvaneth do feature a lot in the current story, and she's appeared so far, Alariel herself, in both Broken Realms books, in small to much larger roles. She's always in the background of those stories, playing in her own sort of game. Now, I do think that Khorne is maybe the obvious place to go down, but I don't really see a full enough model range coming out alongside, so maybe the Khorne is a little bit far-fetched. However, maybe we could see a hero or something, or just a single unit, etc., that sort of adds to that vibe. This is where I think new battalions could really come into it. If we're starting to see maybe a Khorne hero, or maybe a new sort of Arch Revenant, an alternate model for an Arch Revenant or something like that, we could see new battalions coming out for this. And even if we don't see a new model, I could see battalions focusing around the Khorne aspect of the Sylvaneth. Much more savage, much more combat orientated war scrolls and battalions. Now, I do think Alariel herself definitely is going to see an upgrade in her war scroll. Whether or not she's going to get that in Broken Realms or soon in some other manner, I think this is coming. She's played such a major part in the latest story in Broken Realms Techless, though obviously not right at the forefront, but she has this major role now in the overall story. I feel a new war scroll for her is most certainly needed. She needs to feel like that god she is, make her worth that 600 points on the table. More than anything as well, inside the Sylvaneth Battle Tome, I feel the Tree Lords really need some War Scroll rewrites. While Durthu is okay, like he's pretty fine, I do feel he could be a lot better, but definitely the Tree Lord Ancient and the Tree Lord, without a doubt, can see new War Scroll rewrites. They are some of the worst at just representing what they are. I mean, we won't talk about how much I dislike the fact the Tree Lord Ancient is a single cast wizard despite being this ancient tree, and he's got no bonuses or anything, so it's sort of nothing there makes sense to me. New Glades, definitely something that could happen as well. We got in the Warhammer Quest Cursed City box set, we got the Ingala Wield as Glade for our Khorne Huntress in that. So maybe we could see a new Glade in Ingala Wield, potentially as a new Glade that Sylvaneth will have access to. Number 2, Beasts of Chaos. Now, I feel if we're going to see Beasts of Chaos in Broken Realms, I feel they're probably going to get maybe the Nurgle or Ardeneth Deepkin treatment. I think more than anything, they need War Scroll updates. Definitely to some of their monsters. I mean, like the Cygor and the Gorgon could definitely see some new War Scrolls, along with some of the other monsters as well. Maybe even things like Dragon Ogres as well could see a slight buff in their War Scroll. I think that is really where Beasts of Chaos do. For me, Beasts of Chaos do have a really good book. It is the War Scrolls that let down that book more than anything in the book itself. I think for their book, they have all the tools there. They've got cool sub-factions, maybe except one of them. But they've got, good artifacts, they've got good spells within their lore, and even their heroes and just the army abilities and how it all works really is quite good. It's just the War Scrolls maybe don't have the power to back up those great rules that the Battle Tome provides. Now, if we're going to follow a story for Beasts of Chaos in Broken Realms, I think the Gavespawn are definitely where we go for that. I love the idea that the Gavespawn sort of follow this all changer, this Morga, who is, for those who don't know, a character back from Warhammer Fantasy times, and he was effectively the direct opposite to Alariel, or Ariel as she was for the Wood Elves, who were effectively the same sort of being at one point. But Morga sort of faced off against the Wood Elves, and he was this antithesis to the Wood Elf Queen, and they sort of had these massive fights, and they kept fighting over and over again. I really do think that him coming back, and I'll put this in my 10 things I'd like to see about Beasts of Chaos video, that I'd like to see Morga actually get a model. I feel this is the character that Beasts of Chaos can latch onto and really get a story to drive them forward in the narrative and have a true purpose, because while they are like a full-fledged army, they really don't have anything to sort of lead them. They just are this army floating around that exists in some major capacity but doesn't have an actual figurehead to push it in any direction. I think Morga leading some Gavespawn would definitely give the Beasts of Chaos that direction they sorely need. Number 3, we have the Blades of Khorne. Now, there's 2 main characters I feel in Blades of Khorne that can really lead the charge for the army to come back strong in the narrative. And that, first of all, is bringing back Khorne Khorne. I mean, he is our initial bad guy in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. When Vander's Hammerhand first came out, it was Khorne Khorne that opposed him. He was the original bad guy that we saw and we got to really loathe, or love, depending on which side of the coin you're on, in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I think bringing him back to the front and pushing him forward can really do some good things for Khorne in the narrative. Other than that, I think Valkyria the Bloody is another fantastic place to go for a character. I really do think giving her the Ascension and making her a proper Daemon Prince, and even maybe a new model we can dream, would be a great way. I mean, we've seen what Sigvald looks like now. Imagine a brand new Valkyria model on that sort of level would be amazing. More than anything, I think the War Scroll update I'd like to see if we got Blades of Khorne would be the Blood Warrior War Scroll. It is just lackluster in every way. They don't feel like those elite warriors of Khorne do. I mean, in half the time they feel worse than Chaos Warriors. They're just not great. I think definitely see some upgrades to them, see some massive power input into them would be a great way to sort of just lift them up and make them appear like they're supposed to in the narrative. If we're going to get battalions as well, I'd like to see it hopefully linked around Valkyria the Bloody, if she is the one. Or, you know, if we do go down the Khorne Khorne route, give it to him. Make some battalions that work around him. Bring back those initial sort of war scrolls around them. And lastly, the last thing I'd like to see for Blades of Khorne is, can we please have a proper Khorgraf kit? I mean, I absolutely love Khorgrafs. I love the idea of them. They look awesome. Can I have more of them, please? Give us a kit that can make multiple Khorgrafs in different poses, so we can actually have that model in some number on the table. Make it useful. Number 4, we have the Skaven. Now, I'm an old Skaven player myself, and I absolutely love this army. I mean, I really want to get one on the table for Warhammer Age of Sigmar sometime soon. For me, if we're going to focus on any character in Skaven, I mean, it's got to be Thanquol, doesn't it? It has to be Thanquol. He's finally back in the story. He's been appearing in the Gotrek novels, and we know Gotrek knows he exists in the mortal realms now. So let's bring Thanquol to the forefront. And, you know, with Thanquol doing that, we can also bring Gotrek to the forefront as well. So what's not to like about that? For me, I'd like to see new Ishan War Scrolls and maybe some models, but I know that's a little bit of wish listing. Maybe we can see the Death Runner model come back. I'd like to see some new mixed clan battalions as well. This would be really cool to focus around Thanquol and have him as this supreme sort of Gracier, able to draw upon all the different parts of Skavendom into like these different battalions that focus around him and his own sort of collective sub-faction, if you will. I'd like to see how Battle Line works with the army reworked. It is rather clunky, and I know a lot of new players that get into Skaven really don't like how the Battle Line system works for the army. I wish that Clan Rats and just in general Verminous could be included in every other clan, just like how you can have Master Clan with them. I feel that is the best way to go forward with Skaven. Yes, I understand there's maybe some issues around that and people have to, but for me, it just feels like the simple, easiest way to allow a lot of people to enjoy their models and still feel like they're playing a Skaven army. I mean, it doesn't feel like Skaven if I don't have a decent amount of models on the table. Number 5, now I've lumped them all into one lot because I do believe this is what's going to happen. I think we're going to get a Destruction Allegiance army. I think it's going to be mixed destruction. I think in the last Broken Realms book, we've had these stories of Godrak leading this mighty war off to Excelsis, and we've also had Skragrott joining him. I think that army there is going to go and become a fully playable faction. We're going to have all this destruction lumped back together. It's going to be orcs, goblins, ogres, and gargants, all smashed together in this amazing mixed destruction force led by Gorka Mork's disciples, Godrak and Skragrott. Wow. I believe the two of them just can lead this army, can make this faction feel really great, and can make this army really compelling. Now, I know the issue with doing this is the issue of, well, if we're going to have this, how do we keep all the current allegiances, I guess, viable and options that you see on the table? But I feel they've done a good job of this in the past, especially with Destruction. Now, we've seen with the Auric Warclaims books how we have both Bonesplitters and Ironjaws in there alongside Big War, and I still think you see Ironjaws and Bonesplitters almost as much as you see Big War out there. They are very common armies still in the game. So I feel we can still do this. We can have Gloomspite armies, we can have Ogres, we can have Oryx, and we can have Sons of Behemoth. But we can also have this mixed destruction, this mixed war, and maybe you do that where everything sort of pings off Godrak and Skragrott being in the army, so that you're having to invest that much into it. So while it's a really cool narrative sort of focused army, and it can be good on the table as well, it does lead you down a certain path, which makes the other books have options that you can't do within this mixed destruction, big, giant, gargantuan war list. I think this is where we're going to go, and I think Kragnos is going to be the one to lead it. The more and more I start seeing it, the more I start thinking about it, like, we've seen no destruction yet, so it just makes sense to me that this giant wild that we're getting Godrak sort of forged and all the short stories we're getting is going to be where we go. And I think Kragnos is going to be that big thing that he's going to go follow. Is it going to be this great new god beast? Because we know that Gorka Mork is, I guess, the king of the realm of beasts for a lesser extent. So why not have these god beasts alongside Godrak as well? It'd be a really great thing to do to really give Destruction this true identity within the mortal realms. I've spoken about this before, where I think Godrak and Skragrott can be these new Gorka Mork, where we don't actually have Gorka Mork anymore. Instead we have these two halves, and that's literally what it has become, Skragrott and Godrak. It'd be a really cool thing and a cool bit of narrative to have. What do you think of this though, and what do you think of Destruction getting a full mixed allegiance? Would you like to see it, or would you not? Well, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by coming and joining our Discord server, which you'll find a link to in the description of the video. While you're on YouTube as well, go check out my featured channel section, which contains a bunch of other fantastic Age of Sigmar content creators doing everything from battle reports, tactical videos, lore videos, painting tutorials, and more besides that. Lastly though, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you to James, AJC, JC, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Cowspawn, James Crowder, and Andrew Bowen. Thank you all so much for your support. And if you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by clicking once again on the links down in the description of the video to either YouTube members or Patreon. Thank you all for supporting the channel though, watching the content. Have a nice day, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.